it become impossible to learn English like this. And this situation becomes so uncomfortable and frustrating. And eventually, this process becomes so tiring. This is so hard, stop it. And eventually, you lose motivation to speak English. This happens because we learned English from our schools. But English native speakers don't really speak like this in everyday conversations. So there is also a fun thing I've noticed people learning English vocabularies, which totally belongs to our country. Grammar is the scariest topic of learning English. The way grammar taught in our school, like it's literally taught as a subject. Like these things, you would have been traumatized and started hating English. As an I made the same mistakes, and that made my English learning journey way harder than I thought. It took me years to unlearn them. Through this video, I want to help people who's just starting out their English learning journey and become aware of these mistakes so they can easily jump up to the right method of learning English without getting overwhelmed with hundreds of pieces of advice online out there. So the mistake number 1 is, this is my personal experience. Starting out learning a new language, especially English, with translating every single word is the worst method to learn a language. Like even at this point, if someone asks me how do you say this in English, my brain really works hard to translate it. It becomes impossible to learn English like this. If someone talking to you and then you start translating in your head like how to say this in English, and this situations become so uncomfortable and frustrating. And eventually, this process becomes so tiring. Your brain consumes a lot of energy, and so it sends signals like, this is so hard, stop it. And eventually, you lose motivation to speak English. See, they're not the fixed rule of the structure of the sentences, like, this is the only way you can say a sentence. You can say the way you want it. This will actually gonna make you sound more natural. So, the mistake number 2 is starting up with the grammar. Yep. Grammar is the scariest topic of learning English. The way grammar taught in our school, like it's literally taught as a subject, like science or maths. Like if you remember, if you taught like have plus ing form, and just imagine a 10-year-old trying to learn these things, he would have been traumatized and started hating English and never gonna think of learning English or the real world. He will just see it as an extra thing to deal with for the sake of marks, and after exams, we're never gonna look back those rules again. Mistake number 3, learning vocabularies. Yep, learning new words is a good thing. It improves your mental learning ability, but learning every new fancy word wasn't worth it. My teacher used to say that make a habit of reading newspapers, and I did the same. I started reading English newspapers and wrote down every hard word that with their meanings and memorize them. But those words were so complicated, nobody used them in their real conversations. And there is also a fun thing I've noticed people learning English vocabularies, which totally belongs to our country, like funny puri. They learn it's water bowl, fried dumpling. Like, what's the point of learning this? These are totally Indian things. It's fun to learn, but they're spending their time learning these vocabularies years ago. So the mistake number 4, watching English movies and web series. I watched tons of movies with subtitles, but honestly, if you're a beginner, it's not very helpful at first. I couldn't understand anything. They speak so fast. It was just confusing. It didn't help much in the beginning. Now, yes, it helps a lot when you're at an intermediate level, but as a beginner, it's better to start with the slower content like simple YouTube videos. So, the mistake number 5, being too formal in English. Have you noticed this? In our native language, we are super chill, but the moment we switch to the English, we become super formal, even with our friends. That sounds a little awkward. This happens because we learned English from our schools, so obviously we learned in a formal way. But English native speakers don't really speak like this in everyday conversations. So these were my takeaways and observations while learning English. I would really appreciate if you share your experience with me. So this video was all about the mistakes. In the next video, I'll share my best and effective method to learn English that worked for me.